you seem pretty smooth. Like I notice when you're holding pads, you'll make a
Slap
cue
the
to slap
leg.
the leg. Yeah, I was like, that's slick.
Yeah.
And that's why I just a little bit of a backstory. That's why I almost got into, training in the first place, is because I was like, dude, that's so cool. Like, looks so good
Yeah.
and so sleek on video
Yeah.
that when fighters are hitting it, it's hard to explain. It's almost like a dance. It's a float kind of self-expression dance. But some people are kind of sloppy with it. They're
Yeah.
like, one,
Yeah.
two.
I think I've always had in my head, like even when I was coaching in Brazil, the image that if I'm holding pads for somebody, I want to make it as real or as close to a fight as possible, right? So I'm not doing the 1-2s here because you're not punching anybody's shoulders.
Right.
You're doing the 1-2 here,
Over here.
keeping it close to you want them to have everything aligned. I always had that though. But when I saw John holding pads, what really kind of opened my mind to was working the pads inside a cage is totally different. Having the fighter understand what cage control is, how to back up, how to press forward, making it look like a fight and not always calling everything out. You know, you have to let the fighter express themselves in a way or another. You give them the option and then you give them 2 or 3 ways out. And then it's up to them to kind of see what fits them the most or what fits the game plan for the upcoming fight the most. I think that's what impacted me the most, is being able to work a game plan with a fighter inside a cage and letting them have the freedom of also expressing themselves. So it's not me calling all the shots.
Yes.
We'll have a strong base, but it's very good to be able to stop in the middle of a pad session and say, I asked for this cross after this kick. Do you feel comfortable doing that? And sometimes the fighter goes, yeah. Sometimes the fighter goes, not really. Okay, so let's try to fit it into what you're comfortable with. Unless it's something that we're trying to build, that we're trying to get them out of their comfort zone and trying to make them evolve a little bit more in a certain aspect of their striking or of their grappling or their takedown entries. Giving them the freedom makes it look better, right? So when I hold pads, I always like to build it up. We always start slow with the paddles, and I call the combinations, and I make sure they know what the combinations are. And I always say, when I say this is the combination. So I'm not calling each and every shot. I'm calling a combination.
Yep.
If I slap my leg and I do this, that means I want a cross and a leg kick.
Yep.
If I slap my leg and I want to cross, a leg kick, then a 3-2, the guy already knows, because we've been building that. We've been building that chemistry in between the guy that's hitting and the guy that's holding. I know where his hand's going to be. He knows where my paddle or my pad's going to be. So as soon as I slap my leg, he does a 3-4 piece combo, and I know where everything's going to be.
Yeah.
That's the chemistry. You know?
And subconsciously, it's probably where his weight distribution is, and just knowing where his body is after he lands that leg kick.
That too, and also everybody has their own unique way of hitting. You know, through Syndicate, I've had the opportunity of, you know, having John's trust of working with big UFC names like Cody Steele, Nazim Sadikov, Davey Grant, guys like that, Jackie Cavalcanti, number 11 in the bantamweight division. So it's like, and all of that just builds up. And the reason that's good is they see that they have the confidence in knowing that what you're asking is something that is really going to happen or something that makes sense.
In the fight.
Yeah, you're not bullshitting them.
Right,
You know, you're not asking for a 35-piece combo, because guess what? You're not going to throw a 35-piece combo in a fight.
Yeah.
And if you do, then you're probably fighting your 2-year-old kid, because that's the only person that's going to let you do a 35-piece combo. So it's a lot of the chemistry, but everybody has their own little things. It's hard to work with fighters. Like, when I say hard, it's hard in a good way. Like, I think I've evolved the most holding pads for Nazim Sadikov.
Yeah, that's interesting. Why is that? Because I had talked to Charlie, and he mentioned you as your coach, and they're good friends, and so I was telling him when I was watching him, particularly on this Instagram with Conway, when they were like flow sparring, I was like, this guy is just a self-expression of like it's crazy what he's doing. It's
Yes.
like the pattern. If I was like say fighting him, obviously he's up there in levels, but then it's just like you don't know where he's gonna go, and it feels like a dance to him. He's switching southpaw. He's going, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's throwing the leg, and then
there's a couple fighters that I would put up there. Definitely Davy Grant, Nazim Sadikov, as far as pro fighters, and Artur Minev.
What makes them? Oh, and why? Why would you?
So
put them up?
they're three different styles, totally different. Artur Minev, he's the main event this Friday for Fury.
Yep.
He's 21 years old, 5-0, all first round finishes under a minute. The kid's a beast from Ukraine. But he is very European style, very technical. Everything is very aligned, so it's very easy. Our chemistry was instant. He's the first guy that trusted me to work in the gym. He's like my younger brother nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm with him wherever he goes. I try to help him as much as possible. And he's just got that sense of he's got that awareness of that body language, of how his body moves. He's very aware of what you're presenting to him, how he gets away from that. That's why it's good to work with him. That's why I've learned so much working with him, because his style is very similar to mine. Pad wise, the things that I asked for, so connected from the beginning. Davy Grant is probably the guy that looks like he hits the least hard from the three, but it's probably the guy that hits the hardest.
Really?
Davy is just a beast. Like his front kicks, his teeps, his body shots, his 1-2s. Like I go home and I feel it. Like I'll go home and I'm going to be sore.
Yep.
Because when you get into that chemistry, like he hits me with a cross and a body shot and I know it hurt, but you're in that moment and he's cracking it hard. He's doing it right where it's supposed to be. So I keep asking for it. I'm as crazy as he is.
Yeah, and you're in the zone too.
And I'm in the zone.
Like already in the flow state. Yeah.
There's this beautiful flow state that happens. And Nazim, and the reason why I say I've evolved so much holding pads for Nazim is simply because he is so unorthodox.
Right. That's the word that I was getting at. I'm like, whoa.
He moves very differently. He's got a ton of little twitches and moves and feints and fakes that I tell him a lot. Like, I go home when I used to hold pads for him for every camp. I would go home, my elbow would be hurting, and not because of impact, but because I asked for a 1-2. When you ask for a 1-2, you're making everything tight for that 1-2.
You're bracing the impact.
But when I ask for the 1-2, he's a very good guy at feinting. So when I ask for a 1-2, he'll do this, and then I'll go, but he doesn't throw it.
Oh shit!
And then he does it again.
Yeah, right.
And then I hold it.
Yeah.
And then the third one he throws a 1-2, and then I get it. But just from doing this, I'm like, bro, like you're making me look like I don't know what the hell I'm doing here.
Right.
But eventually, we got into a very, very good flow state. With creating our own combinations and things that, again, he's a southpaw. So things that work with him. I'm an orthodox. So when you're holding pads for a southpaw, it's already hard because everything in your mind is the other way around.
Right.
But now you're working with a southpaw that is throwing awkward angled kicks up to your head. When you spin, he's spinning kicks to your body
on the wrong side. Because
it's an awkward position to be in, but it just makes me very grateful to be able to work with guys like Artur and Davy and Nazim, simply because it shows me that I'm able to place myself on that level,
right,
to hold pads for guys that are at the highest level.
Yeah, you have proof, like. That's where confidence comes from.
Yes, 100%. But again, I'm always a student of the game. I learn a lot. Sometimes I would just sit in the cage and watch John hit pads with somebody and just watch, analyze and say, oh man, he does this. Yeah, I'm like, oh man, he does that. That's so smart. And then I'll put that into my game. And I'll watch Dom hitting pads. And Dom is a coach that has evolved tremendously.
And John were talking about it. Yep.
And he's young. I just turned 40. Dom is like 26 and he's already at a level that's good. So I'll sit, and I remember in the beginning, even when I walked in, I would tell Dom like, hey bro, don't do this, do this. And I just watch him hit pads and it's fun for me. I'm proud of the guy because like, man, he evolved so much. He's really put every ounce of sweat equity into the gym, and it's a proud moment kind of just see the guy evolve, you know. So I learned from him also.
Yeah, can you talk? Oh man, that's a lot of wisdom right there. Can you talk to me about how? So I'm kind of a systems thinker. Like, what is your process of like when you see John hold pads, or say Dom or someone that you like are learning from? What are you conscious about those thoughts, or are you just letting it simmer in your subconscious? Like, are you just watching it, or are you taking notes? Are you looking at the one thing that they do? Like, what is your process in getting all that information? Because there's a lot to take in.
They're always mental notes for me. Like I'm not a guy that'll literally grab a piece of paper and write it down. And the reason I don't do that is because I don't absorb. I'm not looking at a lot of things. I'm looking at one specific thing that caught my eye. And I just look at that over and over again every time he does it. And I'm looking at how he's standing, how he's calling it, in which situation he's calling it, where in the cage they are for him to be calling it. You know, so it's like this, all those little situations, and it starts making more sense to me. And that's how I analyze it. And then, of course, I put it into the things that I already do and make it and make it make sense. Because I think the hardest thing about being a coach, and I always say this, great fighters aren't always great coaches and vice versa.
Coach, can I like, I wrote down this note before we had this podcast, right? And the first thing, and it's great that we had that conversation in the beginning. The first thing that I was going to ask you was pretty general, but then what makes a great coach? Because sometimes, like Michael Jordan, they don't translate well into being a great player into being a great coach. What's going on, guys? If you're enjoying this podcast, please don't forget to like the videos and subscribe to the channel. Only if you're getting value out of it on YouTube, and also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to leave a rating and follow. And also, I also write a blog newsletter from what I learned from my incredible guests that I have on. So sign up for the email list and get updates on the podcast. Thank you for your love and support. Now back to the show.